Good morning and happy Thursday, everyone. My name is Nick Marro with Occupy Fantasy. You could find me on Twitter at Nick Marro DFS, and I am here once again to help you break down the NBA DFS slate on both DraftKings and FanDuel. We have just a four-game slate tonight on both sites. Doesn't lock until 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, so keep that in mind. Usually we have the slates locking an hour earlier, but we have seen a lot of these Thursday slates locking later. And yeah, usually there are only a few games. So I started the video a little bit later today. I was hoping we get the Miami Heat and the Clippers injury reports. Neither are out yet, but we will make do with the information we have. I'll try to create some scenarios so you know who to play if we do get some of these guys ruled out. But yeah, I'm gonna click between DraftKings and FanDuel. I know DraftKings does a good job kind of tagging guys for injury a little bit better than FanDuel does. But yeah, I mean, if it's not in the official injury report, it's really tough to take that as gospel. But regardless, let's get into it. So the first game on the slate, we have the Milwaukee Bucks at the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are 2-point favorites at home. We're looking at a 226.5 point total here, so certainly a favorable game environment for both teams. Clicking over to the Occupy model, sorting by OF index. And if you're not already a member at Occupy Fantasy, you could get this model access to this model. Just check the links in the description below. Obviously, we also have a private Discord channel where you get access to our experts. We have a single single lineup builder and a multi lineup builder as well. But yeah, if we sort by OF index as things stand, we're seeing Ja and Giannis popping towards the top of the model as the best plays on the slate. OF index is weighing upside a little bit heavier than price, but it's certainly can help show you the best plays if you can afford them. So usually you don't see true value popping towards the top of this. That's why we sort by DK, excuse me, and FanDuel value for that. But yeah, just seeing Giannis and Ja here, obviously that's a good starting point. But let me look over to the injury reports here. Both these teams have released their injury reports. It looks like Ja was questionable earlier in the day. He is no longer on the report, so that's good to see. Still no Desmond Bain or Danny Green for the Grizzlies. Over on the Buck side, Drew Holiday's out. Joe Ingles still hasn't played. Beauchamp is probable. I don't know how relevant that is, and they have a couple other G League guys. So pretty much two healthy teams outside of Drew and Bain. Um, I mean, yeah, if you can afford Giannis, obviously he's a great play here. I think we're going to need some more value open up to get to him more comfortably. But yeah, as things stand, I do think he's probably the best pay up option on the board. Whenever we're getting Giannis in a close game like this, he's always going to be appealing. And with Drew out of the lineup, he's going to see even higher usage than normal. So I really do like Giannis here. And guard is definitely a deeper position than some of these front court spots. So just in terms of lineup construction, there's value to going to Giannis for those reasons as well. Just clicking over on the DK, I'm going to kind of look at the prices between each. But yeah, we see Giannis up at 12.2. That's harder to get to on FanDuel. I mean, harder to get to on DK. But again, I mean, as more value opens up, he would become more of a priority for me. As things stand, I think we may have to go with a bit more of a balanced build. But I certainly like Giannis if you can afford him. John Morant, like him as well. Really strong play here. With Drew out, he should see softer defense. Drew obviously not what he once was in terms of defending beyond the perimeter, but he is still one of the better defensive guards in the NBA, at least in the Eastern Conference. But yeah, never someone you have to avoid, but it is a plus when he's out of the lineup. Chris Middleton, he's back. He's been back for a few games. Really haven't seen ceiling games out of him, but he's priced reasonably on both sites. I don't mind the 6,900 tag on FanDuel, 6,800 on DK. Totally reasonable as far as I'm concerned. And then Dylan Brooks. I mean, very scoring dependent. We all know he's his own biggest fan, but not someone I'm ever excited to get to. And he does have a good ceiling for tournaments if his shot is falling, but it's just really tough to prioritize a player like that for me when they are priced up, pushing 7K on both sites. I don't mind Steven Adams. Really not a great matchup for him, but he has been putting up numbers. I mean, yeah, these secondary plays just don't look great. All of them have kind of seen a bump in price because we had Ja out for a few games. We did have Steven Adams out, but you can't really pay 5.2 or 5,200 for Clark or 5,400 for Eldon and feel good about it. Tyus Jones, he's in the rotation, but unless he's starting, I mean, there's really no way for me to want to get to him at 5,600. If you're playing a ton of lineups, sure, but oh man, DK, it's even worse, 6,300 for Tyus. So really, I mean, looking at this game, there's not a ton to like other than the studs. I mean, Javon Carter should start at point guard with Drew Holiday out of the lineup. I think that's the one value piece we can maybe rely on. But even then, he is priced up to 4,300, 4,900. I'll probably be using him as things stand because we really don't have much value, as you can see here. But again, just tough to really prioritize him and feel great about it. It's kind of just a product of the slate. Maybe he's kind of that free square for you, so you can kind of pick your payups. But yeah, the ownership does seem reasonable, at least as things stand. I'm sure that continues to climb throughout the day. But he's the one real value play from this game that I'm very interested in. Middleton's popping as a value option. That just kind of speaks to how little value we have on the slate. But yeah, I do like Middleton here. I think he's fine on both sides with Drew out of the lineup. Javon Carter, again, probably the best value play you're going to get out of this game. Brook Lopez is okay. Didn't talk about him yet. I mean, he's had some really solid games, and earlier in the season, he was putting up much bigger scores. That was with Middleton out of the lineup, but with Drew out of the lineup, I do expect him to see a little bit of extra usage. So really, the core plays here, if there are any, are Javon Carter for value, and then if you can afford Giannis or Ja, I do like both of them a lot. Just outside of that, it's really tough to get excited about anyone. We do have another game at 8 o'clock. We have the Miami Heat at the Houston Rockets. The Heat are 4-point favorites on the road heading into Houston. Um, and this one's tricky. The Heat are on a back-to-back, and yeah, Jimmy Butler's questionable. He missed yesterday. I'd imagine that was just for rest, and he's going to be back tonight. If Butler is in, I like Butler, but it's going to make all these other starters kind of less appealing. We've seen some really good games out of Tyler Hero. We've seen good games out of Bam. But when Jimmy's in the lineup, all their rates kind of take a hit. So it's tough for me to get excited about any of them there. Oladipo does seem to be healthy now. He played 31 minutes yesterday, saw 27 fantasy points. I do like him as a value play, but part of me thinks they rest him on the back-to-back and they're going to let Jimmy go. Maybe they rest one of Bam, Hero, Lowry. We're really going to have to keep an eye on this. Luckily, this is the first game on the slate, or same time as the Milwaukee-Memphis game, so we will have that news. But until we have that news, it's just really tough to talk about Miami. As things stand, I think they're priced where they should be on both sites. So it's just really tough for me to get excited about anyone. Butler's even tougher to get to on FanDuel than he is on DK. I like him a lot on DK, sub 9K, but where he's pushing 10K, that's just really tough for me to get excited about. I will say, though, Hero, sub 8K on FanDuel, even with Butler in the lineup, I think is a really strong option. So we're kind of picking and choosing between the two sites. I do like Hero on FanDuel, but if Butler's in, I think I only really like Butler on DK, and it's tough for me to get excited about anything else there. On the Houston side, we do have their injury report, and there is only one name on it, and that is Jae'Sean Tate. So we have a healthy Houston Rockets team, which is good to see as far as keeping this game as close as concerned. Um, I like Jalen Green. I like Kevin Porter. They both have a pretty high ceiling. They're both fairly scoring dependent. They tend to split the usage here. Green's been hot lately, coming off back-to-back 40 fantasy point performances. I do like him a lot as an option. And he's actually cheaper than Porter on DK. I think he's cheaper on FanDuel as well. Yep, so you're getting the better player over the last few games for a bit of a discount. So that makes me like Jalen Green a lot here on both sides. He's probably my favorite Rocket as things stand. I will talk about Alperen Sengun. I always do. Very high ceiling out of this guy. I think it's not a hot take that they should be running the offense through him. He should be seeing more than 30 points per game, but they kind of got training wheels on him right now, which is understandable. But he is a very, very talented player, consistently underrated by the field as well. Never really draws the ownership he should. On a 4-game slate, I do think he's more popular than usual, but at the same time, I do like him a lot here as a tournament play. Um, Let's sort by value. I mean, I expected maybe we'd see, yeah, there he is. Eric Gordon, very, very scoring dependent, wide range of outcomes. We've seen him post single digits. We've seen him put up 40 fantasy points. It's just tough to know what you're going to get from him on a given night. I don't mind him as like a last guy in play, but really not someone I could prioritize. There's really nothing else popping for Houston as far as value goes. Obviously, Javon Carter. Oh, no, that was the last game. I mean, yeah, it's just Javon's probably the best value play on the board right now, along with Reggie Jackson. These other teams just just aren't presenting the value we're going to need to get to like a Giannis and feel great about the rest of your build. So I don't know. Just checking FanDuel. Yeah, Eric Gordon popping again. I'll take a quick look at his game log just for the sake of this video. You can never really tell too much by the game logs. The one thing I do like to look at is the minutes. Only 22 minutes last time out. I'm guessing that was a blowout or something like that. But again, wide range of outcomes for a player like Gordon. Does have enough of a ceiling at that price that he's could be in a tournament winning lineup. But at the same time, I think more nights than not, he's going to burn you. Jabari Smith at a thin power forward position, I will just touch on quickly. I think he's a fine play. Still no Deshaun Tate. He's been out for a long, long time. I think that's going to continue in the near future. As long as he's out, I think we can trust Smith. They took Smith very early in this draft for a reason. I think he was a second overall pick, but he's looked good. It's just a tough matchup against Miami. Did I mention the total here? Yeah, 219 point total. One of the lower ones on the slate. We have kind of two high totals, two low totals, and this is one of those lower totals. So we really have to keep an eye on this Miami news. As things stand, I like Hero on FanDuel. I like Butler on DK. I don't mind Kevin Porter. I really like Jalen Green, and I do like Sengun as a tournament play. And Jabari Smith, kind of a last man in, or Eric Gordon, a last man in at those thinner forward positions. But really, tough game to get excited about until we have that Miami news. Moving into the 9 o'clock window, only one 9 o'clock game. This is the best game environment on the slate. 232 point total. The Pelicans are at the Jazz as 1 point favorites. So let's take a look at the injury report here. Pelicans still no Brandon Ingram, no Jose Alvarado, and the Jazz are without Colin Sexton. So, Zion, let's start with Zion. I mean, he's been amazing over the past couple of weeks, finally kind of rounding into the form we expected him to earlier in the season, earlier in his rookie season. Consistently between 40 and 50 fantasy points. As long as Ingram's out of the lineup, I'll continue to use him. The price is up. He is over 10K now on FanDuel. So there should be some sticker shock there. I think that helps keep ownership in check, but I do like him a lot. CJ McCollum, it took him a couple games to get going, but he's certainly found his legs over his last few starts. Not a great game last time out, but prior to that, he was coming off two games where he hit value. I think this is the type of matchup that CJ should thrive in. Utah's defense has been suspect at best. And yeah, he's reasonably priced on both sites, so I should get to some CJ tonight for sure. Um, After that, it does get a little bit tricky. Larry Nance and Joval have been splitting the center minutes. It's like whoever's hot at a given time gets the run. I mean, we saw two huge games from Nance going into last game, but it was Joval last time who had the better game. So I think you probably want one or the other in most of your builds, but it's tough to know which one to go with. Joval's going to get the start, but if he's not playing well or he gets in foul trouble, Larry Nance could be a tournament winning type of play. I like both these guys. Just really tough to know which one is going to go off on a given night. Um, I mean, with Alvarado out, I think that helps McCollum more than anyone. But you could mix in guys like Dyson Daniels, maybe even no Devontae Graham. I'm not getting there unless he starts. But yeah, Dyson Daniels is okay as a value play, not someone I think you have to rush to get to. Herb Jones came back last time out. I think he played his full minutes. Don't quote me on that. Only 20 minutes for Herb. So yeah, I was wrong on that. Yeah, I thought he'd be kind of getting full run here. I didn't think they'd bring him back unless he was fully healthy, but they were cautious with his minutes. So just keep an eye on that. Maybe don't go to Herb Jones today. I don't mind Trey Murphy as kind of a secondary option. But really, it's Zion here. It's CJ McCollum, and then one of the center plays in Nance or Joval for the Pels. Um, but yeah, they've been awesome. Really, really good team right now. Certainly one of the funner teams to watch. So I'm looking forward to this game. Then on the Utah side, only Colin Sexton's out. I like Mike Conley where he's sub 6K. I think that's a favorable price, but we have seen a wide range of outcomes out of him. Pretty low floor, not always a guy that's taking shots. Let me check his price over on DraftKings. So, yeah, I don't mind Conley. We're lacking value, simply put. 5,300 for him. That is too low. If he can get back to his season averages where he's hitting over 25 fantasy points per night, I think he could be a really strong play here on the short slate. I like Malik Beasley on the wing. Scoring dependent, but he's been hitting value almost every night. I think he's fine. He's been benefiting with Sexton out of the lineup. Those are two guys who usually come in with that second unit, so he's seeing extra usage there. I think Clarkson's fine. I usually only play him with Conley out, but he has kind of seen more looks this season. I really don't want to pay for him on this slate in particularly at 7K. I would just try to find a little bit of extra salary to get to like a CJ McCollum here. So um, really no major priorities from this game, I'd say, except for maybe Zion if you can afford him. I think McCollum's much easier to get to, and you kind of see that reflected in the ownership. He's probably the better play of the two. On Utah, I didn't talk about him yet, but Lauri Markkanen has been seeing the highest usage rate on that team. I think he's a good play. Don't mind Clarkson. I like Conley for value. Then in the front court for Utah, we could take a look at guys like Olynyk. Jared Vanderbilt's had some really big games. Yeah, last time out, 18 points, 14 rebounds, block, and a steal. I don't know that we can count on that. His price is up, but as a last man, and I do think he's a fine play. Kelly Olynyk, a little bit boomer bust lately. We're seeing this reflected in his game logs here. I mean, he's getting 30 fantasy points under 20, 30 fantasy points under 20. I mean, it seems to be there's a pattern forming. I wouldn't put too much stock into that, but at the same time, on a short slate, he's certainly going to be someone you have to consider. Walker Kessler, he was a great value play for us a couple weeks ago. He is seeing enough minutes to stay relevant here, but at 6K on FanDuel, I just can't get excited about that. The 4,900 on DraftKings is certainly more appealing for me there. So let's move into this last game, and then after that, I'll kind of do an overall slate. Just summary. But yeah, we have the Clippers hosting the Suns. Clippers are currently 1.5 point favorites at home. It is worth noting the Clippers are on a back-to-back. There is no injury report out for them yet, so we have to treat them similarly to the Miami Heat. We just don't know what we're going to get out of them here. I think Zubac, he rested last night. We saw Kawhi play full minutes, Paul George play full minutes. I'm guessing they rest Kawhi here on the back-to-back. If that's the case, that's going to be a major boost for a guy like Paul George. Really, whoever else starts, it could be Terrence Mann, could be Nicholas Batum, could be Marcus Morris, could be two of those three are going to be very appealing options here. We also have John Wall, who was out yesterday for injury management. That tells me he's going to play tonight. Um, so currently in the model, I know Reggie Jackson's popping pretty highly, but as more of these guys are healthy, his usage is going to continue to plummet. So if Kawhi's out, I think we could go back to Jackson. I would prefer to get up to John Wall, even if Wall's coming off the bench, though. He's just been the better fantasy point per minute player, certainly over the last couple weeks. That's been a fact. Um, but yeah, we really need this Clipper news. And unlike the Miami game, we're not going to have it by lock probably. So definitely keep an eye on things there. Again, I'm guessing Kawhi is out and Paul George is in along with John Wall. If they were to rest George, that would make all the other starters even better. But this is a fluid situation we have to keep an eye on. Again, I would like Batum to start. He's been consistently hitting value. Much better play with Kawhi out of the lineup, though. I think he is the highest floor of these wings. Marcus Morris probably is the highest ceiling, though. If he gets hot shooting, he could put up a really big score if Kawhi's out. But at the same time, scoring dependent means his shot needs to fall. You get other stats like rebounds and assists out of a guy like Batum. So Batum's a higher floor play. Morris is the higher ceiling play. I'm really only interested in either if Kawhi's out, though. So that's something we're going to have to wait and see. As of 10:30 Eastern, still no Clippers injury report, so keep an eye on that. Um, and then yeah, if Zubac is out, I think he plays tonight. Maybe we see Covington get some minutes at center, which would certainly boost his upside. But again, it's just tough to talk about this Clippers team till we get this news. As things stand, I do really like Paul George on both sides. I'm kind of under the assumption though that Kawhi Leonard's going to sit, so keep an eye on that. Certainly something that's going to decide a lot for this slate. Maybe create yourself some scenarios where you could swap onto Paul George late. You could maybe use one of these Clipper or Suns guards as a filler in the interim. So Devin Booker's listed as questionable. Jay Crowder's still out. No Cam Payne, Cam Johnson, and DeAndre Ayton is questionable. So this is a tricky one. If Ayton's out and Biyombo starts, he's going to be one of the best value plays on the slate. If Ayton's in, I do like him here. Even at the 8,300 price on FanDuel, I think that's fine on a short slate. Only 77 under 100 on DK. That's a more appealing price over there. Um, If Booker's in, he's solid. If Booker's out, we can prioritize Chris Paul again. We could look at guys like Torrey Craig as secondary options. I know we had some value in Damian Lee that completely dudded the other night. I wouldn't mind him as a punt if Booker's out. I don't think anyone's going to want to play him after that last performance, but he does have some upside for sure. But again, I mean, they at least released their injury report. We know campaign's out. But yeah, the big piece is Booker and Ayton. We don't really know yet. And with campaign already out, um, yeah, I think we're going to see more minutes for Torrey Craig. I mean, I'd have to look a little bit deeper into that. But yeah, wait and see who starts for these guys if you can. Um, Landry Shamet's coming off a few good games as well. Not someone I ever trust. But on a slate where we're lacking value, if we do get a few of these Suns out, I do think you could turn to Shemet. Um, so yeah, another team is just tough to talk about until we have this news. But again, if Aiton's out, you really want to go to Biombo. If Booker's out, you really want to go to Chris Paul. Then really whoever starts. If we see Shemet or Damian Lee starting, I think either or is going to be a great value play. So let me refresh the model one more time here. Once again, my name is Nick Marro with Occupy Fantasy. You can find me on Twitter at Nick Marro DFS. If you're not already a member at Occupy, please join today. You get access to the model you see here where you could sort by OF index and value for both sites. You get ownership projections, and we have a single lineup builder and multi lineup builder as well. But yeah, just taking a quick look here. Yeah, Jalen Green, he's been on fire. No surprise, he's the most popular play on DK as things stand. McCollum, Joval, very boomer bust, but at that price, it's probably worth a gamble. I would say if you're building multiple lineups, maybe put Joval in a bunch of them and Nance in another bunch of them, but definitely don't put them in the same lineup together. Um, when Zion was out, I think he was in foul trouble. We did see a few minutes with Nance and Joval together, but that's just not something I like to do. I don't think you want to play both of them. If one has a great night, likely the other is struggling. I mean, Giannis looks great if you can get to him. Ja looks great if you can get to him. It's going to be tough to get to either tonight. Paul George, really strong play, going to be stronger if Kawhi is ruled out. And then quickly sorting by value, Javon Carter is probably the best value play on the slate as things stand. So yeah, guys, please like the video, click subscribe, help us climb those YouTube algorithms and get more free content like this out to you on a daily and consistent basis. Really fun slate tonight, but we need more of this injury news. Make sure you are ready to pivot, especially with that 10:30 game locking later than everything else. Um, Once again, my name's Nick Marro. Find me on Twitter at Nick Marro DFS. Have fun and good luck.